guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel and the Scouting for Manchester United series. The series where we look at players from all around the world and assess whether or not they would be a good signing for Manchester United. And I'm sure the reason you clicked on this video is because you saw the name Suzuki, the 20-year-old goalkeeper heavily linked with a move to the club in the last few days. So today we're going to be talking about his strengths and weaknesses as a player because I'm pretty confident almost no one watching this video has seen this guy play before. But I went out of my way over the past few days. I've watched a lot of Japanese league football over the past couple of days, so I can bring you guys everything I know about him. Now, one thing we need to consider during the video is that the sample size is still small. This is still only based on about 10 games of Japanese league football. However, we can still see some clear strengths and weaknesses in his game. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. So we will start off with a profile, and as you can see here, he was born in the USA. However, with a Ghanaian father and a Japanese mother, he still has a choice of a few different countries to represent. However, at this moment in time, my money would be on him ending up representing Japan. And the reason for that is because he currently represents their under-21 side, and it is also where he plays his club football. And as I said, it is this exact club football which I've been watching over the past couple of days, and come to some conclusions on him as a player. So we will start off with one of his strengths. And for me, one of his massive strengths is his short passing. He's a very, very impressive short passer. So initially when he receives the ball, he kind of has this confidence the second he receives it. You kind of get that vibe off of certain players. If you look at someone like David De Gea, for example, he always looks panicked on the ball. Suzuki looks very, very calm when receiving the ball from a teammate. And from here, his short passing is very good. What I'm particularly impressed by is his ability to find midfielders with his short passing, because not all goalkeepers can do this. For example, when an opposition press and do something like this and put pressure on the two centre-backs, Suzuki is the sort of player who is very capable of finding a pass kind of past or between the forward line to find his midfielders to play his team out from the back. And Suzuki is very, very good at that. So in terms of his short passing, I can see why Erik ten Hag is interested in him, because I was actually finding myself really genuinely impressed by his short passing range. So that is certainly a positive. Now, whilst his short passing might be a positive, I wasn't as convinced by his long passing. Now, that might come as a bit of a shock to some of you guys, because I'm sure you've seen the compilations on Twitter, where he's pinging these long passes to find forwards running in on goal. And, you know, he does have it in his locker. The occasional long pass is very, very good. But in general, the accuracy and the consistency of his precision is currently lacking. So that is something he needs to work on, particularly when he gets pressed. For example, if a centre-back passes the ball back to him, and he quickly gets pressed, he isn't the sort of player which is nice and calm and composed and kind of, you know, settles himself before playing out from the back. In these situations, we will often see a rash, rushed, long pass forward, which does lack the accuracy. Now, whilst that would be a concern at this moment in time, I do think that he has the potential to become a good long passer, because in general, the range which he gets on his passes is very good, and he's still picking out good areas with these long passes. It's just a case of kind of really arrowing in on it to kind of refine it and make it that little bit better. But like I said, the range he gets is actually really impressive. He's very good at kind of booting the ball very, very long. But, you know, it isn't lofted balls which are easy to defend. They are driven long passes, which are much better than what we've seen at Old Trafford over the past few seasons. He also has a really good long throw as well. Say if he's kind of like claiming a corner or claiming a cross into the box, he then loves to bowl the ball out really quickly, and it's almost a bit like a catapult is probably the best way to describe it. And regularly, in terms of setting up the counter-attack, you see him kind of bowling these balls which aren't hitting the ground before the halfway line, which is very, very impressive, and it makes him a good transitioning weapon, because he's also similarly good with his drop kicks as well. So he is capable of quickly plucking the ball out of the air and then quickly starting a fast attack, which would be very, very useful. Now, as I hinted at there, he is also good at claiming crosses, and this is an area where he is very, very confident. Now, you know, currently the results are still a little bit inconsistent. Almost every ball which comes into his box, especially from corners, he looks to try and claim it, particularly coming out to punch the ball away. And that shows a real good confidence in a young goalkeeper. Playing senior football in Japan but still having the confidence as a 20-year-old to come out and claim corners is very, very promising. It shows that he has a good character. However, again, currently the execution is lacking just a little bit, because at times he does kind of come out and not really get there. He doesn't flap it across, I wouldn't say, but he just kind of misjudges it or mistimes it, or there are certain situations where it isn't really his ball to come for. However, when he does get it right, it looks really, really good. And I would say he does get it right about 80% of the time at the moment from what I've seen in the games that I have watched. So I would label him as a decent cross-stopper with the potential to be a really strong cross-stopper as he kind of matures, grows into his frame, gets a little bit older, improves his decision-making. I think he could be really strong in this area. Another area where I think he could be decent is his shot-stopping as well. Now again, currently the sample size is small, and he hasn't been massively tested in the games which I have seen. However, in the matches I've watched, I've seen a couple of good double saves where he makes the first initial save, quickly gets back up, and then makes the second save as well. However, one concern I do have is that he does seem to parry a lot of shots. He doesn't seem to kind of hold them and keep them in, and of course when you parry a shot it does put your team back in danger. Although, to be fair, he does tend to parry the ball into good areas away from goal. You know, he's not parrying them back into the middle of the box, for example. Some keepers, when they parry a shot, they parry it right back in here, and obviously that's where the strikers are sniffing about. Suzuki does tend to parry it more out wide, so that is a good sign. Although, of course, again, as he gets older and improves, you would like to see him improve his handling just to kind of take the danger away entirely. Another area which would need a bit of work is in terms of his proactiveness, in terms of sweeping actions up behind his defence. You know, when a team plays a high line, the ball goes in behind the defence. Suzuki, does he come out and deal with it? Sometimes. Again, the sample size is too small to really say with any concrete evidence that yes, he can 100% do it, or no, he definitely can't do it. He's in between a little bit at the moment. I've seen a couple of balls where he's coming out and heading it out for a throw, and I've seen a couple of decent sweeping actions. However, this isn't something he has faced massively, so it is difficult to come to any conclusions. I would say, based on his confidence in other areas though, this could be an area where he could shine as a goalkeeper. I certainly wouldn't rule it out. However, I can't tell you right now that he is definitely a good sweeping keeper. And that is kind of, you know, the vibe we're getting from him as a player. The sample size is small, not just in terms of the amount I have watched, but the amount he has played. He isn't even the #1 goalkeeper for his current club. He does tend to be the backup keeper, which is why we haven't seen that much of him. I have watched as much footage as I could physically find. We're talking 10 plus games, and kind of what I've been speaking about today so far is what I have seen from him as a goalkeeper. Obviously, this makes it difficult for me to sit here and say Manchester United should definitely sign him or they definitely shouldn't. What I would say is that I can see why Erik ten Hag would be interested. We know what ten Hag wants from his goalkeeper. He does want someone who's quite proactive, good at claiming crosses, dominant in the box, also a good personality, a good character, and he does seem like a confident young goalkeeper, but also that ball playing ability. Suzuki does have those things. He does tick those boxes. Like I said, his short passing in particular is genuinely of a really high level. This isn't just good for a 20-year-old playing in Japan. This is a very good short passing goalkeeper, full stop. Very, very good. Like I said, his long passing is decent, the range is very impressive, but the accuracy needs to improve and be more consistent. His cross stopping is pretty decent but needs work, and the same for his shot stopping and also sweeping actions. In terms of a move to Manchester United, the talk is about £5 million. It's a little bit expensive in my opinion. I would like to see closer to probably £2, maybe £3 million would be more where I would be more comfortable with the signing. And if he was to join the club, I think it would probably be, you know, in everyone's best interest to then loan him out again. Because at 20 years old, there's no point him just sitting on the bench, kind of rotting away, not really getting any game time. Because also, let's say Onana signs for the club and is #1. If Onana gets an injury, is Suzuki ready to come in and be a Premier League #1 goalkeeper in a top 4 battle? No, he's not at this moment in time. Tom Heaton would probably still be the better option at the club. So I think if Suzuki does come into the club, I would expect him to be loaned out. This isn't a signing which is massively going to impact Manchester United in the short term. It might be one of those signings where if you bring him in, you don't really hear much from him, and then in 2 or 3 seasons he's sold for 10 million. That's also very possible. Or he could become a genuinely top young goalkeeper if you can get his loan moves right. But, you know, that's the point where we're at the moment. He looks like a good young goalkeeper. The principles of him as a player, I like them. I like his character. I like his personality from what we've seen so far. But now we just kind of have to wait and see what happens. But I'm really interested to hear if you guys have any opinions in the comments down below. Have any of you gone out of your way to see him, particularly for the Japanese under-21 side? You might have seen him recently against Germany under-21s, Netherlands under-21s. There might be a few games where you've seen him, so let me know in the comments down below. If you have, what did you make of him as a player? Were you impressed, disappointed? Let me know all of that. Of course, also, if you could subscribe before you leave, it would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to hit 15,000 subscribers as soon as possible, so every subscriber really is appreciated. But apart from that, Thank you guys for watching, I hope you have enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.